On the show this week, how to get past the fears that your dreams point out. And our symbol this week is spiders. And as always, we take your calls on 425-373-5527 and interpret the dreams you sent in during the week. Welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about dreams and their meanings. I'm Michael Sheridan, and with me in studio is Heidi Brooke, our resident medium.
Hello.
And Susan Pullen. She's a healer, shamanic practitioner, life coach and dream analyst. And
Hello.
a few more things. But the show is only an hour long. So, I just got back from a wonderful vacation in Canada. A vacation of chasing planes and trying to make connections. At least that's what it felt like. I ran a course up in St. John, New Brunswick. But really what I went there for was to meet a woman called Elizabeth Rose. Actually, I've met her before. We've known each other since about 2007. And she did a course I wouldn't really call it a course. But she did a thing with me that she calls full immersion into spirit. And I would highly recommend it to anybody who's working in this field. Her website address is diamondlantern.com, and you'll get all the details about it there, but it's just stunning. She guides you into lots of former lives, lots of interlife, lots of preparation for life, to look at all the issues that you need to look at that you didn't look at in previous lives that are still hanging over you, things that are left over from this one, and then starts restoring all the energy that you've lost from those blocks. It's just absolutely stunning, and full immersion is... There's no real description you can give this course. It's not really a course. It's so tailored. She only does it 1-to-1, and it varies completely based on what your needs are. And one of the great things is, you're living it with her during the period, and it's morning till night, so there's no escaping or getting away. And but it's just it was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it a lot, I must say, even though you do a lot of work on it. Anyway, Susan, we're going to do one of your dreams today, in fact, but we're going to do one of your subjects. So you've been writing a few of the feature subjects for the show lately, so that's really cool.
Yeah. So I thought today we would talk about fear. It's the month of Halloween, and one of the areas that dreams often point out is our fears. So just to start with how those fears might show up in dreams, we're just going to revisit some dreams. Most of them we've done in past shows, but just to refresh our memory. So here's one. I was cleaning out what I first thought was a rear view mirror, but then it became a mailbox. I was using a vacuum hose to vacuum out a white spider with hideous long legs. Then I saw another spider and vacuumed it. Then I was able to remove the web and saw a huge tarantula inside, behind the thing I'd removed.
You left out a word there. Part of her description for tarantula.
It's a word okay. I can't say on the radio.
Okay.
It was big.
Okay, so we did this before, and the mailbox represents channeling in this lady's case. So it's about, so we said our spiders were going to be our symbol for the week. And spiders represent irrational fears. You look at a spider, even if if you live in a place that has poisonous spiders, if you're unlucky enough to, that's my perspective. But they're tiny. You know, the fact that people would have any fear over a spider is crazy because it just doesn't even take a slippered foot to take care of a spider. And yet we will have people will stay out of a room all day long till somebody else comes home who doesn't have that fear and said this
or
is
jump out of a moving vehicle.
Oh yeah, I saw that one on Facebook recently, yeah, and caused crashes and everything. Yes. But that's much better than a spider touching you. So it represents an irrational fear. It's completely irrational fear or a childhood fear. You know, an irrational fear is one that has no basis in reality. So it's not like skydiving and being afraid you might die. It's not that type of fear because, you know, there is a reality to that. So you study and you practice and you make sure that's not going to happen to you. But an irrational fear is one that means nothing. It's holding you back in some way, but you shouldn't be held back because there is no basis behind the fear that you have. So that's what they represent. So here it's about what she's doing is cleaning out fears that are going to allow her engage in her channeling, using her channeling ability. And in her case, she says, I'm not even consciously aware of any fears. And that's quite often the case. We have subconscious fears, or fears that affect us from former lives. And they can hold us back too. And we need to deal with them. So here she eliminates this big white spider, and then she eliminates another one, and then sees the tarantula. So basically, this dream is saying she's going to get past all her fears, and then she's going to be channeling, and then her next fear is going to be, because the tarantula comes out of the mailbox and goes up the wall, her next fear is actually using this channeling ability in a career space. That's what the orange and black represents. So that's another fear again. So we have the spiders representing fears she needs to clear out, and then she's going to have to overcome the fear of actually going public with using this ability.
And it seems like fear channeling is one that comes up pretty regularly in the show. In dreams.
Yes, and it's because of the country we live in, or the way it used to be. It used to be illegal to be a medium. In some states, in fact, you still cannot charge for mediumship work. So if you give somebody a reading, people will say suggested donation and so on, because it's against the law. And but before that, even in England, it was so illegal you got arrested if you were caught having a séance or doing anything like that. And it just...
And it wasn't too long ago that people were burnt at the stake for this. You know, and being that we did live past lives, I know there's a lot of people who are mediums now who were mediums in past lives, and they were wondering why they have this fear. And sometimes it is related to past life fears as well.
They still have the scorch marks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So here's another dream that we've already covered on the show, but I'm just going to refresh our memory with a short piece of it. I was in the living room of my house, but it didn't look like my real house, sitting on a couch playing some kind of video game on a very large pull-down screen. It was up high to the right side of the couch. The background of the screen was purple, and the character I was moving in the game was a yellow spider. I don't remember anything else about the game itself, even how it was played. My son, who appeared to be about 10 in the dream, kept coming into the room.
Okay, so her son is not 10 now, so this is bringing her back to that age. And dreams just approximate, so it's bringing her back to around the age 10. She has a leadership ability, which is indicated by the purple. And then the spider, she's moving the spider around on the screen, so it's saying that she's got to overcome her fears. In this case, the dream continues on, and she's got to overcome issues to do with her mom. So there's been authority issues in her life where people have overstepped their authority issues. Even in this dream, she's trying to sit on the couch and her mom sits in her space, half on her, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's people in authority having abused their position has caused her to have, that's what she has to overcome. Issues with authority, overcome those fears because she's an authority figure herself.
So here's one other...
I suppose it's worth pointing out.
Yeah.
The whole reason the fears come up, and this is one of the huge things dreams do. They show us our fears because that's what we need to overcome. And then what you're going to talk about is how you overcome them.
Yeah.
And can I just ask, what does the yellow spider...
Yellow in a dream is enough to indicate fears as well. Yellow, like a mustardy yellow in a dream, is about irrational fears as well. So we have the colour and the spider itself both indicating the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the white spider, in the other dream, the spider was white. Just curious what that means.
So that can be trying to overcome a controlling attitude. Or maybe trying to be too perfect. So white as a colour is usually good in a dream because it's with other colours, but on its own it means being controlling, being perfectionist. It's somebody who, for instance, you want to paint, you decide you're going to paint, but your first painting isn't a Monet and you're not happy with the quality you've just produced, so it's rubbish. It's that sort of being too much of a perfectionist that it gets in your own way that you're that way.
Yeah.
And it's always because somebody in our lives was that way, somebody that raised us was that way, and we've picked it up.
So here's one more spider dream. I'm standing outside my car on the passenger side with the car door open. On the seat is a 3-ring binder, and on top of that is a big spider. I put my foot on the spider and squash it. The spider looks flat at first, but then he raises up and I can see he's not dead. So I squash him again, this time grinding him hard with my foot.
Okay. So we know the person who's dreamed this is Jerry Lynn. And it's just funny. I could even laugh at the idea of the way she would say this. Because we can really live the dreams again, even when we're saying them. So the 3-ring binder is about her life story. It's about commitment to accessing what it is she's meant to be doing in her life. And it's not that she isn't already doing that. And this is an old dream. These are both, the last two are old dreams, so people won't remember them on the show. They're nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
So the 3-ring binder is asking her to commit to accessing what it is she's meant to be doing. This is the story of her life, so to speak, the story that she's prepared. And because the spider's on it, and she's got to overcome the fears that hold her back. And her killing the spider is good. But so this says that she's already done something in life that she thought would eliminate these fears, but they're still not dead. So it just says here, by her having to squash the spider again, is like, don't give up. This is something that you really need to work at. And she does in the dream, so it's a really good dream. Mm-hmm. So I like this one because it shows somebody actually doing it, just like the dream where the person was vacuuming the spider up.
Yeah. So here's another one. We did this one on the show pretty recently. I'm just going to read a part of it. A very big man lifted me up and handed me to another man standing on a power line. He told me to grab onto the blue rope while he walked me along another power line to the other side of the road. I remembered that I had a fear of heights, but I simply discarded my fears and embraced the opportunity before me. This all happened so quickly, I had an amazing sense that very big things are not just about to happen, but are actually in the process of happening.
Okay. So, again, what the point of putting this dream in again is to show you that our dreams can show our fears, but they're not actually about our fear at the time. So his fear is used because the dream is about overcoming obstacles in his career, and this guy has had lots of obstacles that have gotten in his way. And so by having his guides and this blue rope that comes down that he's hoisted up by, it's saying use your guides to get in touch with your power and use your higher power to get across the road or get across the junction. So get past the obstacles that are in his way with regard to career. But his fear is because he has a fear of heights. He has to overcome that in the dream in order to use the connection with his guides to do that. So it's not about his fear of heights. It's just about his fears. And dreams will do that. They'll substitute one thing for another because the analogy is the same as overcoming fears.
And he actually has a fear of heights in waking life.
He does. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So this next one is one of my dreams, actually. This is a new one. We haven't done it on the show yet. So I was at a training or class, maybe a Robert Moss workshop. It was a transition point, like the end of one training and start of another, with some of us staying for both classes.
Okay, so Robert Moss is a dream teacher, or is he known as a dream teacher?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about a few things. This part is about your ability to analyze dreams, which is how we met. So we know you have that. But when it shows up in a dream like this, it's asking you to acknowledge it more. Because sometimes we don't acknowledge what our abilities are. So in my case, I remember when I was starting to learn dream analysis in the beginning, I kept dreaming of the teacher that was teaching me over and over and over again. And I would have a dream and I'd wake up, but still be in my dream. I thought I was awake, and we would meet for coffee and he'd tell me what my dream meant and things like that. So when you see an ability in your dreams, it's telling you that you're not using it enough, generally, or not acknowledging it enough. But it's good to see because then, at least to see it from time to time, because then okay, I'm not deluding myself. So anyway, gives us a subject matter, and also then the teaching is another thing. So you have a teaching ability, which I think we come up even stronger. And it's a transition point. This is really the nice part of this dream. You're at the end of one training and the start of another. So like this other guy, actually, from the dream from a couple of months ago, you're now at a point where things are going to start taking off for you. Now, they already are taking off for you. You've taken risks. You're somebody who's actually put your money where your mouth is and quit your job and set up a business and everything like that. And a lot of people are very afraid to take those steps. So you've taken those steps. And this dream then, because it's just so recent, is October 3rd, is fantastic. So let's continue on.
So I recognize a woman there from level 3 teacher training.
Okay, so that's commitment, but it's showing it's going up a level, I presume, is what the feeling in the dream was.
Yeah. We were in an auditorium, maybe 200 of us, for a presentation. There was something on a big screen in front. No one was talking, though. In the quiet, I start talking to the person next to me, commenting on the images on the screen in front. Everyone in the room can hear what I was saying, and someone says, maybe the young lady who's speaking would like to talk to all of us, and I feel embarrassed.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to include this dream is because of the embarrassment, because that's a fear coming up in the dream.
Yep.
The other part, the teacher training, this is really, really important. This is you're going to be teaching other people something. I don't think it's the dream stuff, but it may include that. So that's very important because you currently teach clients how to heal themselves and things like that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong. So this is bringing it to a level where you're going to be teaching people how to help other people. What else have we got? And it's a big auditorium. So this is the auditorium and the 200 people. That's about, you can hear your guides. Do you hear your guides? I know you can channel them.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, but the 200 is saying this is really good. It's saying, look, this is a good goal to have. If it was 2,000, it would be emphasized even more. You know, so it's a strong emphasis. It's just not just the number 2. It's channeling and it's a goal. And by the way, did I say it's a big goal because I've got another 0 again. And then the big screen in front, that's always about expanding yourself. So this is the same as the transition. You know, worry about expanding yourself, getting the bigger picture. That's what a cinema and a big screen represent in a dream, if it's bigger than a TV. And then no one's talking and you start talking to the person next to you and then they say to you, maybe you would like to talk to all of us. So this is like dragging you out in the dream. So here's the funny thing, even if you're doing something that you're doing in reality, you can have a dream that shows that you still have like residual fears over things.
Yeah, no question I do.
So what's interesting here is you started writing some of the segments for the show when you joined way back, started July.
Yes.
And then you stopped writing. Do you want to share why?
Well, partly because I got guidance about being more spontaneous with it.
Yeah. But you can write and still be spontaneous.
Yeah.
You know, you can just say, remember spiders. But it's like it was a big steps. You quit so you followed your dreams. You literally are one person who's followed your dreams. You had done lots of training courses in lots and lots of areas, and you were practicing at them. You were even teaching some of them in East West Bookshop.
Yeah.
And your dream said stop. Your dream said pull out of doing charity work that you were doing. Then they were, so you did that, you quit your job, huge thing, end of income and health benefits and all that sort of stuff. Spend a lot of money on doing a place up so that you have it ready to take on clients.
Yep, so I have an office.
Yes. And then you start doing the radio show. And you have to have jitters when it comes to all these changes, you know. What if I've just been insane? You know, even if you're on the path. And this is really important. A lot of people who are on the right path still get these fears and still get these thoughts about, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And you're looking for reassurance. And your dreams at that point said, step back a little, which is kind of interesting. And that got you completely over the jitters side of it. Yeah. And you started enjoying it. And then they're saying, okay, it's time to write again. But you've been enjoying that again.
I have been.
So,
yep.
So it was just a good way of saying step off the gas a little. And so it's interesting. Your higher self sees all this. And the way it happened to you is actually the way it frequently will happen. You'll be given a taste of it. And then you'll be given an amount of time. Normally you're given a lot longer than you were given. So you're obviously ready for it. And then it's like, okay, now get into this again. But now you know what you're doing. You know what you're aiming for because you've done it before.
Yeah.
So it's not an unknown fear, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say unknown fear. There you go. Talk about that in your stuff. There's known fears and there's unknown fears.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. So continue on.
So let's see. Then a band started playing for us. My cousin, who's a school teacher, was the lead singer. She was wearing a red shirt and makeup. She looked beautiful. She was clearly a bit nervous or maybe not feeling well. I knew this was her first gig. Then I remember that she's pregnant, but she's not really in waking life. And at the end of the song, she looks like she might faint. And a few people gather around her to help her. And I'm close by too.
Okay. So again, there's you see her apprehension at the gig and, you know, the newness of everything for her. So that's the same as you being embarrassed in the other class. But the transition point, where you say you're in a transition point, end of one training and start of another, that's like an exam in a dream. Really, really positive symbol. Always a positive symbol. Never, ever indicates anything bad's going to happen. And so too here you say that she's pregnant. That is the same thing in a dream. So a new aspect of you about to be born. And just like pregnancy in reality, it's going to take effort, it's going to take work and a bit of pain. But what you get out of it is going to be so worth it to you. So all an extremely positive dream, but just highlighting your fears. So which is good, because then you're saying, okay, I'm telling you how my fears show up in my dreams. Other people, when they see it, they'll know this happens to all of us. Yes. But we just decided to pick on you this week. So you say your cousin is a school teacher. So this again is about your teaching. She's wearing a red shirt. Red is about passion. And saying, bring joy and passion to this. So this is something you are going to enjoy. And you're going to get past the nerves. And what else have we got? Oh, yeah, the pregnancy, already covered that. But all really positive.
And the lead singer.
The singing is about channeling. So we have the channeling in again. So we would have got the same thing from either half of this dream, even though the dream is very short.
Yeah.
But type of dream you want. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Back in a moment. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Are you wondering about your path in life? Do you have the sense there's something you're here on earth to do, but you're not sure what that could be? Maybe you've had a major change in your life recently, and you're asking yourself, what's next for me? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I believe that each of us comes to this lifetime for a reason. Not only do we come with a specific aim for our life, we also bring with us special gifts that help us to make our unique contribution. Now is the time for you to discover your gifts and your life purpose. Now is the time for you to realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
1150kknw.com. It's why they invented the internet. We think. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about dreams and their meanings. So we did lots of dreams just before the break and described what they mean as a lead up to talking about fears and how to overcome the fears that show up in your dreams. So Susan, enlighten us.
So even though our dreams are quick to point out our fears, and they may even show us where those fears started, like in childhood, they don't always offer guidance on how to alleviate that fear. So I thought that was worth talking about today. Yeah. And it's something that I've worked with a lot of people on, not to mention having lots of opportunities myself to practice. So
No, you have fears?
It's true. So I know you did a dream last week, Michael, where you were saying, the dream was like, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can do that, like, if you practice like a mindfulness meditation where you can be present with the fear and notice that you have it and just breathe and do it anyway. But that doesn't always work, or it doesn't work for everyone. So I wanted to offer some other strategies. So in some cases, we can alleviate a fear just by talking to someone else about it, like an irrational fear. Fear breeds in the dark. Like if we don't examine it in the light of day, it can intensify. I don't know if you've had this experience. I certainly have. But by talking about it with another person, we get a chance to see, in many cases, how irrational or how unlikely it really is. And I've even had the experience where talking about it out loud, just hearing myself say it out loud, I realized how, totally absurd it was.
Can I put you on the spot and give us an example? Not necessarily your fear, but like what I understand that fears, grow. Like if you have an accident, fall off a bike, get the kid back on the bike straight away, because if they mull over the fact that they fell off, that's what they'll associate the bike with rather than the success of finally being able to cycle and balance.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'll give you an example from my life, actually. So this is one where when I said it out loud, I thought, okay, that's totally ridiculous. But I had this fear that someone was going to break into my house in the middle of the night and use the bathroom. And when I would when I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have to go to the bathroom, then I would be afraid that there would be someone else in there who had broken into the house. And this is obviously like, I don't think this ever happens, but in real life. But I let it go, I let it go, and it got to the point where I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have to pee. And just the thought of going into the bathroom, like my heart would race and my palms would start to sweat. And
so how did you get past that one?
So how I got past that one was...
you got a shotgun and you approached the bathroom with the gun saying...
No, so part of it was talking about it out loud. And hearing, okay, this really is ridiculous. In my mind,
because I was thinking that when you were saying it was a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, thanks. But in my mind, before I said it out loud, it seemed very convincing. Like it seemed like a totally plausible thing, but it's really not.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I did was kind of a mantra. So you use it with breath. So on the breath in, you think, I am completely, and on the breath out, stopping. So I am completely stopping. And then with the next few breaths, I am safe and secure. I am safe and secure. So again, it goes with the breath and just focusing on the breath. And after it was really, this plagued me for months. And after maybe just a few weeks, it was totally gone and hasn't come back.
Yeah,
so.
Excellent. So now we know if we ever get a key to her place, run in and flush the toilet in the middle of the night.
The ultimate prank.
Let's see. I do definitely have a fear of speaking in public. And, I read once that in the United States, speaking in public is the number one fear. And in the United Kingdom, the number one fear is spiders. And the number two fear is public speaking.
Really?
Yeah.
So does that mean British are more afraid of speaking in public than Americans? Because I would not have thought it was an American fear, because if you're living abroad, I remember a comedian was talking about, he overheard two Americans discussing something on a ferry boat on the lake. And he said, and I was in a really good position to overhear them because I was fishing on the shore of the lake. So it's... They public speak just in regular...
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But that's different from being aware that you're intentionally doing it.
Yeah. Well, Heidi, what you do with the channeling, that to me, one of the things the reason I don't just channel is the fear of what you do. Going in, not knowing anything about what the person's going to ask or so on, and then starting off... from a cold start, it seems like. Whereas I've got a dream in my hand, I've analysed a dream, or I can see a dream, I go, okay. And I know I'm using it as a crutch, but... Oh,
I used to be a little worried about that. I guess it kind of was a fear, but, I started so young doing this for family members and friends that I think that is really what it just became my normal. Yeah. Sometimes I do get apprehensive that I won't get anything, but to be honest, I'm told straight away if I won't get anything.
Yeah. So. And I think that's okay. People can relate. If you say, oh, I'm not getting anything, people are happier to hear that than to hear I've got this spiel ready for when I don't get anything.
I think I've only once suffered through a reading trying to get information. But at the end of it, if my guides
at the end of it, your client was deceased.
No. No, but they were trying to contact someone. That's usually when I don't get anything, who is deceased. And
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'll check straight away with my guides. Am I going to be able to contact this person? And let that person know. But generally, there's enough information that they want to know about other areas of their life that we can cover something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not afraid anymore, happy to say.
Well, you certainly don't come across as afraid, and for many years anyway, for at least
I think
10 that I could think of you doing this.
what also helped, and I'm wondering if that's why in the United States the number one fear is public speaking. You have to do public speaking in high school and in college to pass classes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the whole population, unless you didn't go to high school.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
I wonder if that has anything to do with it. And that has helped me here
Yeah.
going back to college.
Well, it was funny because your first appearance on the show was when one guest that was scheduled to come on and was a medium got so ill from the thought of coming on that she couldn't make it. And you were like, oh, casually, oh, I'll do it, no problem.
Yeah, and if you think about it, high schoolers as young as, well, my sister's 17 now, but I know she was doing presentations at 14, 15 here. And you're graded on
earlier.
it. That's a fear that you can have that counts for something.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wonder if that has to do with it. Because I know in Ireland we don't do presentations as much. We have the final exam and presentation marks don't count for a lot.
You have to take the elective of debating
Yeah.
to really get that.
Most of us just don't elect
Yeah,
to do that.
We just learn how to give a really good staring.
Yeah.
I should read enough from that.
Exactly.
So if you do have to go into a situation where you know it's something that's going to scare you ahead of time, sorry, Michael's laughing. He's distracting me.
It was Heidi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm oblivious over here.
Okay.
So one of the things that can help is bringing to mind people who love you, like imagining their face, feeling their love for you, your love for them. And it kind of puts you in a good space before you.
It's too mean to say.
I'm getting ready to hit you with this piece of paper.
I was going to say, so what do you do then? You said think of people who love you. If you hit me with that piece of paper, it won't really hurt. I weighed that up beforehand. Go on, I'm learning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see.
So you think of people who love you
Yeah.
before you attempt doing it, is it?
Yeah. So before I go in to teach a class or something, I could do that. It does help sort of like
So you-
lower the fear response in your
You
body.
think of the people who love you and go, well, I hope they can write a nice epitaph. And then in you walk. Oh, no, you don't do that. Okay,
No.
okay. Stop distracting her, Heidi.
Okay, one of the other things you can do, sometimes I think we scare ourselves by thinking about like the bigness of a change or a project or, like a change in career, like you were talking about. We can really spook ourselves by thinking about what a big change that is and all that it means for us and all the things that we have to do as part of it. And so one of the things that helps in that situation is just to focus on the very next step. And it's sort of a discipline of attention to stay focused on that very next thing and not let yourself get carried away and get caught up thinking in the
and
full
start
scope.
piling one fear on top of the next.
Right, right. And I'm afraid of that, and I'm afraid of that, and I'm afraid of
So I've got my fear pile sorted.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So sometimes a different kind of approach can be helpful, though. So like sometimes a dream will point out that we picked up a fear from one of our parents. And so in a situation like that, cutting the ties with that parent or doing a process like that, with someone like me or having Michael facilitate something like that, that can be really helpful to help remove it when it really belonged to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can also carry a fear that's been passed down to us, not just from a parent, but from a whole family line. Like we can be born into, it's like a family agreement that says, we don't do this kind of thing because bad things will happen if we do. Bad things will come of it. And so here again, it can be helpful to work with, someone like me who can remove that energetic connection or that that agreement in the family line that that holds us back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do it. So this is all about your healing practice, really, or some of it is anyway. Your healing practice.
Yeah.
So these are the type of things that you come across with people.
Yes.
And do they always relate to the fear that they have, or is it they want to do something and they're panicked about it, but the fear comes from something else that you can then work on easily?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's often true. And then, like Heidi said, we can have fear that's a result of something that happened even in another lifetime. And so when this happens, it can be really hard for us to explain where the fear started, or it can be hard for us.
Pinpoint it.
Yeah, to work it out on our own. So working with someone who does energetic work can help alleviate the impact of a past life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And childhood as well is another one where it's almost like a past life. If you have no memory or no conscious recall of it, how do you eliminate a fear that you can't pinpoint?
Right.
But there are techniques for dealing with those things.
Yeah. Like the dream that we did with the where her son, who's 10, comes in.
Yeah.
But sometimes people will say, I have no idea what happened when I was 10. Why that would relate.
Okay.
So yeah. So I hope that one of these tools will be useful for you. Give them a try.
Yeah. And she hopes you have lots of fears that you're now willing to tackle. So we're going to take another break. You're listening to So You Think You're Awake.
Hello, this is Heidi. How can I help you?
You tell me. You're the psychic.
That's not how it works. I am a medium. I connect to your spirit guides and loved ones and pass on their messages to you.
So why did I call? Use the force, Heidi.
Look, I can get answers to any questions you ask. That's not a problem. They can be about anything: relationships, career, children, finances, anything.
Anything? Okay. What's my favorite color?
Dave, your mom says you're being childish.
For readings with Heidi, go to angelsontheline.com.
Are you feeling stuck? Are you trapped in the same old patterns of negativity, fear, or self-doubt? I'm Susan Pullen with True Radiance Healing Arts, and I can help you to finally change those old patterns so you can move ahead at last. You may have already tried to change these patterns yourself, maybe with therapy, meditation, or sheer willpower. Certainly these can have benefits sometimes, but they don't always get to the root of what's holding you back. Now is the time for you to break free of the things that keep you stuck, so you can realize your true radiance. Find me on the web at true-radiance.com.
Tell your friends the place to be is Alternative Talk 1150 AM.
You're listening to So You Think You're Awake with Michael Sheridan, Susan Pullen, and Heidi Brooke.
So now we have a question from a reader, from a listener. Lately, I've been rereading old dreams spanning many years, and one of the things that stands out is a recurring symbol of two ladies or two women who are older than me at the time of the dream. These ladies are usually on the periphery of the dream as overseers, observers, witnesses, casual participants. I've seen them as sitting close to me in a movie theater, at a piano recital, as apartment neighbors, working as store clerks, business owners, as little Mexican ladies who happen to be nearby, library workers, etc. I think they must be guides, but why two?
All right. So this is where Susan decides to show that the show is live by reading a different piece on the page. So that's not the question for Heidi.
No.
So that's the part about how guides show up in dreams. And it's interesting that she spots these, that she can spot that these two characters have shown up time and time again. And there are many things that happen in your life and in your dreams to wake you up, like dreaming of something before it happens or things like that. Or just a dream that really makes you wonder because it's so profound felt so real or whatever. But this should really make her say, okay, there's more to life than I'm thinking. And I wonder why these people always show up. Have I invented two characters that I use in my dream world? And the answer is no, because they show up with titles like business owners, library workers and so on. That means they're two of her guides. The 2 is just coincidental, I think. I mean, because of the piano recital, she could be a channel. We don't know. I mean, the piano recital might be enough, but the 2 here is just that there is 2. And so they want to introduce themselves. They're always trying, and this is what guides do. They kind of remain aloof in a dream. They don't wave over and go, "Cooey, how are you doing?" So it's but they're still there. They're present all the time. So they're saying to you, "Look, you need to get to know us. We're here. Ask us for help in your life, and we can give it. But we're here, and you're not engaging us." So the next bit is the question piece.
Yep. So, don't know if this is relevant, but back in 1977, I knew a person who was a trance channel, and a number of us were getting our astrology charts and needed an exact time for our births. We asked the group guide for our birth times. Everyone got theirs straight out until it was my turn. "What time do you want, since you took your first breath twice?" the guide asked me. I didn't know how to respond to this. "I guess the second breath must be the one that counts," I said. 10:09 and 52 seconds, the guide responded. "This is a little different than what's on the birth certificate," and I asked my father if there was any difficulty with my birth, and he said no. So, Heidi?
So what the guides are saying about that is that, so when this person was born, she decided she wasn't sure. At the very exact moment of her birth, where she's taken her first breath, she actually changed her mind. And then she had a couple of, just less than a minute, I'm going to say, is what they're saying. And they were like, "Well, you have to decide, you do have to breathe. So are you going to take this body or are you not?" Because we do have free will, even up until the moment of our birth and even after that. And so she did decide to take that body and live that life with a few changes. And that's why she did take a second breath.
And in her case, she didn't know whether the second breath or the first breath, which time of birth should matter.
Well, I think it's specific to every individual. But in this case, they're saying that her life did change. She agreed for this body, but she did change a few things in the last minute. And, and if you listen to the show enough, you know that in spirit, that time dimensions are not really there. So there was enough time within those few seconds to discuss and decide what she wanted to do.
Interesting. I was intrigued by that one as well. I'd never heard of that either.
I hadn't until I channeled on it. So it's very interesting.
Actually, yeah, you learn. Do you learn a lot from channeling? Because I find when people send in particular dreams, it's fascinating the detail they have, especially the interlife pieces of dreams, which they don't always show up as obvious, but maybe we'll point those things out. We were saying earlier we'll probably do a show on birth and how different stages of the birth process, and preparation for life is one of the big stages in spirit world and shows up in a lot of dreams. And that's one where you can see a lot of gifts and so on, what you came here to do, what your life purpose is, because we see you in your dream preparing this ability. But yeah, I find it intriguing when there's some dreams just really are remarkable for the clarity that the person has for the recall, or that you get when you tune in to analyze it and you see what it's about.
Yeah, I am quite often taken back, especially if it's something I hadn't heard of or thought of. And, sometimes people will say things and I'll check, and sometimes it's inaccurate. But most of the time, I'll channel something that I've never heard of before, and it's so profound that I take note of it, and then I research it and find lots of other information. And also people who can channel, who write books and things like that. When I'm reading those books, I learn a lot from those books as well. Things just resonate.
Oh, yeah.
In you, and I find it just very profound.
Yeah, and they say the truth resonates, so that's really an important thing. Like if you're reading something and it doesn't make sense, because there are many books people have recommended, not many, but there's the odd time it happens. Somebody will highly recommend a book and you pick it up and you're trying to slog through it because somebody close to you recommended it, and it just doesn't work, doesn't go in. All right, so let's have a look at a few dreams.
Okay, so this is one.
We've got 3 dreams actually from on this one page.
Okay. So my mom was in the hospital. She'd been there for a while, and I took the elevator up to go get her as she was being released. I wondered what was taking her so long. My sister-in-law was waiting in the car driver's seat outside with my daughter. The nurses told me that my mom would be okay walking home. I said that would be a crazy long walk. They insisted she could handle it. It was only 3 hours, they said. I argued for a while, but they think I finally decided to listen.
So this dreamer is cutting the ties at the time of this dream. She was currently on week 4, nearly finished now. And it's about her state of mind, and it's saying her state of mind is no longer affected by issues with mom. So she's still caring for her mom, or still troubled by her mom, you could say. And this dream shows that. But here the nurses, so the nurses are guides, and whatever a guide says in a dream, we know they're a guide because they have a title. So whatever a guide says in a dream is infallible. And they're saying that she doesn't need to go in your car, and that it's okay for her to go home on her own. Does she say on her own? It just says she'd be okay walking home. But we also see her sister-in-law's in the driver's seat. So we know what we want to see in the dream. First of all, we don't want to see mom, and then we don't want to see anybody else in the driver's seat other than you. So we know there's still some time to go on the process, but this is where it's going. It's changing, and it's removing the effect, mom's influence, the negative side of mom's influence.
I was in a shop of some kind, maybe hardware. The shop attendant gave me a bedpan of some sort for the kids, but I used it on the counter when he wasn't looking. To poo. Gotta love sharing those details with the dream analyst, she says.
Okay, so I'd originally given that one to Susan to watch her face when she read it out. Darn. So this is really common. Defecating is a very common thing in a dream, and it's always positive. It's about eliminating some fear or getting over something in your life by eliminating it. And these dreams normally have you trying to use a bathroom in public, out in public, maybe in a bathroom stall that has no walls or anything like that. And they always feel really uncomfortable in the dream. It always feels really uncomfortable. And a lot of the time, dreamers won't do it. They were like, okay, I'm not going to do it, just not going to do this. But it's a good dream. And if you do defecate in a dream, even urinate, it's a good thing because it's saying you've taken on board the message of these are all the things that I need to eliminate that affect me in the physical world. And now I'm going to do some physical elimination. And there you go. It's the effect is let go of. So it is good in a dream. The shop attendant is a guide, so we know that it's something that the dreamer actually should do. But it's elimination of childhood issues. So very straightforward.
I couldn't find my car that my partner had parked, and we were trying to leave for our trip. But I did find my keys in my pocket that had been missing, and I knew where to head for my car. Okay,
so again, remembering she's cutting the ties, the fact that she's trying to find a car is about a choice of roles or attitudes that we have. Like, if you look at in your dream, all the cars that are there are an aspect of you. So you own all these cars. If it's a car park, you own all the cars, and you can find that you have a dream where there are thousands of cars and you can't find your one. So here she's trying to find what her path is, which is perfect. And remember, the other dream she had was about her sister being in the car driver's seat. So the car is about her achieving her goals, striving towards her goals, because we use cars to get from where we are to where we want to go to. But the partner parked it. So this is about issues in the relationship. But what's really good here is she says she found her keys. So that means that she has in her hand whatever it is she needs in order to move forward now. What does she say? They had been missing and she knew. So it even finishes with she knew where to head for her car. So she has not only just is she going for the car, but she has the keys. So really, really positive. So because she's cutting the ties, this dream is saying you're doing exactly the right thing and it's going to bring you exactly where you need to be brought. So if we got another dream, who's got the next one?
This one next?
Sure. This is from Georgina.
In my first dream, I was standing in the living room looking at the window when I see an L come toward the window, just standing on the ledge. My nephew was beside...
Yeah, there's something missing in the typing here.
My nephew was beside me when we were looking. Then I opened the house door and was to the side, and the L came in. He stood on the clothing hanger. Then my cousin's mother, the mother of my nephew, said, "Oh, let's put it in a bag so we can take it to the animal shelter." She placed a black bag over the L, and then somehow my nephew, her son, hit the L on the beak. That's the end of the dream.
Okay, so hitting the L on the beak isn't good, and putting the black bag over it isn't good. So this, the windows really give this one away. The windows here are about the dreamer is psychic. That's what the dream is about, and it's trying to encourage her to use her psychic ability. We know she doesn't use it enough because the owl is standing on the window ledge. So it's like she's on the edge of using this, you could say. Now, maybe she uses it spontaneously a few times in her life, but this would be like using it with full force and the full ability that it is. And the owl represents that too. That kind of threw me. I thought owls, I thought they were associated with wisdom, but when I looked it up, they're only associated with wisdom because it's one of the forms that I think the goddess Athena takes. But in general, bird watchers would say an owl is not a very smart bird and not a wise bird. So they don't mean that in the dream either. And I knew they didn't mean it in the dream, but it kind of surprised me. So we had that. So they represent the psychic ability because we connect them with the moon, and they're out at nighttime and they have the big eyes and all that. But it stands on a clothing hanger. So this tells us what the dreamer has to deal with. Has to deal with hang-ups around mother, because the mother comes in the dream, that come about at the age of the nephew in the dream. I don't think she tells us the age, but that's what she's got to deal with. Deal with those, and the psychic ability will come in really strongly. And that's not surprising because it's a female energy trait. So work on issues around the one who causes an inhibition of the flow of female energy within you is really going to help.
So here we have a comment from a dreamer whose dream we did a couple of weeks ago. This was a dream about Aristotle.
Oh, yeah, the Ryder.
Yeah.
She's the Ryder, I mean.
She's the Ryder. Well, so she writes, "Thank you, Michael. I just had a chance to listen this morning to the show. I've been writing off and on for the last 2 years, but keep getting stalled with not having clarity of direction. I feel like I just keep shooting arrows without a target. I have about 3 different subjects I'm juggling with. I think I just need to set aside a block of uninterrupted time every day just to write. Maybe I'll gain clarity then."
Okay, very nice to get that. And we get a lot of those all the time. And we were saying maybe we'll start including those because it shows that we're hitting home, I suppose, for people. If you see the same similar symbols in your dream and then you see somebody else has that dream and we analyze it and you get their feedback, then that's quite good. So we're getting the feedback, but we don't always share it. So maybe we'll do that. So what are we going to do next? We're very close to out of time. Have we something short?
So we have one question from a listener. I'll just jump to the question there. He says, my question is, how do we address this, or can we even address this? He knows in his case that he did not get unconditional love from his mother. In fact, he got resentment. I was also born with a breathing problem because my lungs were not fully developed, and I spent some time in an incubator. I have, or at least think I have, done cutting the ties with my mother. Is there anything else I can do to try and heal these wounds from my birth, or is this just something we live with as humans?
And I would say absolutely not. If you do nothing, yes, you live with it. So the real question is, if you have no conscious memory, what can you do? And that's something where channeling can really help. You can even be brought back to the time with regression, and that'll put you in touch with the feeling. And even if you say to yourself, oh, well, I think I'm making this up, that's okay. You go with it, because it's the feeling is what's really important, and getting in touch with the feeling, then you know, okay, this is how it holds you back. When you get that feeling in life today, that's the issue that comes from childhood or from this early birth, or early time around birth. But yeah, cutting the ties works with something like that, because even if you have no conscious memory, because it works with symbols of the subconscious, and any therapy working on something has to work for that particular age. So we're going to wrap up now. I want to say thanks to Heidi, thanks to Susan, and thanks to Eric Ryder, our producer and engineer. And next week we will have another show, and we're going to leave you with this quote. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom, and that's from Bertrand Russell. Never mentioned our Halloween competition.
No, send in your spooky dreams for the Halloween competition at RadioShow at dream-analysis.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.